What's up, y'all? My name is Devontae, and I sacrificed my time so you don't have to. So apparently, I've been living underneath a rock. But let's talk about this Becky Lynch news that just I don't want to say it came out of nowhere, but it's one of those things when you hear about contracts expiring, you just automatically assume when they're a big enough name within the company that they're just going to re-sign with whatever company, whether it's MJF in AEW, whether it's Drew McIntyre in WWE. You speculate for a little bit because it's fun, but when their contract actually comes to a point when it legitimately expires, and then you see other wrestling companies making big time offers, that's when shit gets pretty fucking real. So like, people say things all the time like, oh, that wrestler's just going to re-sign with the company. Oh, that wrestler's just going to re-sign with the company. I think that's an easier thing to say when the wrestler is already under contract. It's another thing to say when the wrestler lets their contract expire. I think at that point in time, shit is legitimately 50-50. You know what I mean? Especially when you look at other superstars, you know, your compadres, your counterparts, who got strong deals in their contracts prior to you, most likely at least tempting fate and checking out the other side. Here, check this out. Report on Becky Lynch's status with WWE ahead of the May 27th edition of Raw. Actually, you know what? Do I want to read that one or do I want to read the other one? I'm very curious. You know what? Yeah, let's read this one. This one seems a little bit more credible. I see Sean Ross Sapp inside it. I don't like the guy, but he's always credible as fuck to me, or at least the most credible when it comes to the wrestling journalists. Let's see. We'll take it from the top. Sean Ross Sapp, or Fightful, says, as of this morning, Becky Lynch and WWE had not reached terms on the new contract. Though the two sides had not been in contact, we have not learned if a deal is imminent or agreed upon. Outside of that, there hasn't been a new deal. Sorry, the screen is kind of glitching out a little bit. It was also stated that people within the industry expect Becky to get the biggest offer of any woman in pro wrestling history. Good for her. Good for her. Actually, there was another one that I wanted to see. That one was talked about a couple of hours ago. Hang on for a second. Oh, you know what? This is actually from NoDQ.com. Also, the other one was quoting Sean Ross Sapp initially before Raw came on last night. This one's after Raw went off the air when Becky Lynch, she jobbed and then she tweeted out this photo saying to be continued. This one says, in speaking with WWE sources, they believe they will come to in speaking with WWE sources, they believe they will come to terms with Lynch on a new agreement. But obviously, until and unless something is signed, anything can happen. Wade Keller of PWTorch.com wrote the following about what he heard regarding Becky Lynch. And I quote, she is not, according to what she's telling people in WWE, going to AEW imminently. Instead, multiple sources with insights into her situation indicate she is taking a hiatus. We are not aware of whether this is to spend more time at home and take a break from the grind, or if it's out of frustration with her contract offer from So, I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure you can't find that online. Let me see. Becky Lynch, WWE contract. I'm scrolling down right now. Nah, I see nothing as far as stipulations in regards to Becky Lynch's contract off from WWE, which I guess you would expect. If she didn't sign the contract, then technically it'd just be considered a draft, right? Until she actually signs it, or unless she wants to speak on the stipulations, within the contract in itself, which I'm not sure how legal that is. You know what I mean? I mean, unless you actually sign the contract and then you're indebted to the actual details of the contract in itself. I think speaking upon contract stipulations, or maybe you can. I don't think an NDA will be able to. I mean, I guess an NDA will be able to cover that, but I'm saying like, why hurt your standings like that, right? So I guess you're not really gonna know the contents of it unless Becky wants to speak on it upon herself, or like I said, unless she signs it and someone goes snooping around. But yeah, that's all we have so far. But I think what's crazy is them saying that she was frustrated, and I don't see any corroboration in regards to people saying. I'm looking up and down right now. I'm typing as I'm talking. I see nobody talking about her being frustrated, as Wade Keller just stated, over her contract. I mean, he's making the claim, but also I think it's more important that the fact that she's going to let her contract expire. I think whenever you talk about people and re-signing, you always have to take into account that they're still under their current deal, right? So it's a lot easier to speculate when you see them underneath their current deal. Or not, it's a lot easier to speculate, but it's a lot easier to come to the conclusion that they're going to re-sign, right? Because they're already still underneath their current deal. And if that's even more important if they're big enough stars, you know, whether you're MJF in AEW, whether you're Drew McIntyre in WWE, I think people who are, you know, mocking others for saying you're crazy, Becky Lynch is going to stay with WWE, always take into account Edge. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Always take into account Edge. And then to make matters even worse, you have Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, who is now considered to be the highest paid female talent in wrestling today. And she's in AEW currently at the moment. They're not offering that kind of deal in WWE. You got Sasha Banks, who got that deal in AEW. You gotta fucking believe in the back of her mind Becky Lynch wants that deal. And there are rumors going around. Granted, I think it was just them joking around, so let me not even say that. I was going to talk about the whole $10 million offer, but I think that was just keeping it 100, playing a hypothetical. I don't think that's legitimate, so I'm not even going to harp on that. But I will say, though, there is rumors going around at the very least that Tony Khan is, like, he is prepared. I think he was actually prepared to offer Seth Rollins a huge contract also before Seth re-signed with WWE. But there are rumors going around that Tony Khan is absolutely prepared to sign Becky Lynch. You know, like, apparently, and this is coming from Sean Ross Sapp also, he believes by the end of the week that both WWE and AEW will have offered Becky Lynch the largest contract in women's wrestling history. That's coming from Sean Ross Sapp, which, again, you don't have to like Sean from an opinionated standpoint, but at least he's a credible source. At least to me, I think he's the most credible source in all of pro wrestling when it comes to new stuff. He's way more credible than Dave Meltzer, in my opinion. Whether you like him or hate him, way more credible, in my opinion, even though he's a soy boy, but that's neither here nor there. Look, good for Becky Lynch in the end of the day. And for whoever company wants to offer her that contract, look, man, if you feel that you can make more money, I don't know what her merchandise sells. Obviously it's Becky Lynch, so she's popular amongst the WWE fans. If they want to offer her a contract and Becky Lynch wants to look over the contract, she'd be a damn fool to not at least, you know, entertain the idea that there's a possibility that she can go to AEW. Like I said, I think Edge and Sasha Banks, had they not jumped to AEW, I think this will be a foregone conclusion that she's going to re-sign with WWE. But I think the way she looks at it, and this is just me speculating here, don't take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, this is just my own personal opinion. I truly believe that she looks at something like a Sasha Banks, and I'm not going to say necessarily that she's jealous of Sasha Banks' contract. I don't think that's the appropriate word. I think it's within the family. I think it's within the talking realms. But I think with Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch kind of looks at that as motivation to at least look at other places to get bigger deals. Maybe she looks at WWE and she thinks to herself like, hey man, I've done enough for this company as far as putting over the women. You know, I feel like I've been a ratings boost as far as metrics is considered. I have no proof, you know, personally speaking. You know, my merchandise sells out crazy. You know, if you're trying to compare me to any other woman, no one can compete with me in regards to those metrics. I would like a bigger contract deal, something more comparable to Sasha Banks. Because there's rumors going around that Sasha Banks got paid like $4 to $6 million or something like that in AEW. And maybe Becky Lynch wants something closer to that. And maybe WWE offered her, as far as like her guarantee, I'm pretty sure maybe her royalties is going to be something super duper high. But something tells me that Becky Lynch wants a guarantee, you know, around $4 to $6 million, around those rounds. I'm just taking a guess here, shot in the dark, right? Compared to at least what Sasha Banks got. I don't think Becky Lynch is one of those women where she's like, I have to be the highest paid woman. But at the very least, if Sasha's getting that much from AEW, then how much are you willing to offer me, considering, and you know, there's a strong argument to be made that Becky Lynch is way more popular than Sasha Banks, even within the context, actually even definitely within his context, considering Sasha took herself and went down to a lower level in terms of viewership and platform. But in the end of the day, Tony Khan is richer, or at least his dad is richer than the folks in WWE, so they have way more revenue, as far as streaming into the company. And, he could definitely make a bigger offer. He's definitely willing to make that big of a risk. Now, obviously, like I said, this is all going to come down to what Becky Lynch wants to do. This is all going to come down to her family. In the end of the day, the way I look at it, it's like Seth Rollins probably got a gnarly fucking contract also. I wouldn't be surprised if Seth Rollins is making upwards to $4, maybe even $5 million. That's just a guess. I think he was at $3.5 million the last time. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Seth is making every bit of $5 million. For him to be dominating in WWE like this from a monetary standpoint, and then Becky Lynch goes to AEW and can get a similar contract to Seth Rollins versus getting a lower contract compared to Seth Rollins. In the end of the day, it's all going to come down to what decision Becky wants to make to help out her family, to contribute to her family. Always remember, everything's going to come back to Rue. I think that's probably the number one priority you have to think about. Everything and anything that Becky Lynch does is going to come. So, because you're going to hear people talk about, oh, loyalty this, loyalty that, loyalty this. These are NPCs. Do not listen to these people. These people are clowns. 9 times out of 10, these people are parentless. They themselves have no children. They want to call their cats or their dogs or their pet rocks kids. These are clowns. Don't listen to them in the end of the day. Becky Lynch, fuck that loyalty shit. Take advantage of whatever contract you can get your hands on, because in the end of the day, everything comes right back to Rue. That's it. Everything circulates right back to Rue. And if you know that you can get a contract that firmly secures her future going forward in her life, done data. That's it. That loyalty shit means nothing when your kids are involved. I think most of these, pet rock owners, they don't really understand that, and they really believe that, people are indebted to a company or indebted to a job just because of the loyalty aspect. No, you're a fucking clown, and you should probably kick rocks and maybe headbutt concrete a little bit less. You know what I mean? Now, with all the pleasantries out of the way, as far as Becky Lynch, the speculation of her going to AEW and stuff like that, you want my own personal opinion in regards to the matter? Monetarily speaking, if it's just strictly that, of course, go wherever the money leads you, right? But as far as my own as a fan, that's just me as a man, that's me as a parent, that's me as a person who's, looking for a job, when I didn't have a job at the time. That's speaking from that perspective, and that's the only thing that actually matters, and that's the only thing that should be prioritized. But from my own wrestling fandom perspective, Tony Clown is a clown. I think that's for Rudy and stuff, I meant to say Tony Khan, but no, that fits too. Tony Clown is a clown. I don't think there's anybody in professional wrestling today that deserves 1/10 of the contract that they're getting. I don't know. Again, I have no metrics in regards to knowing Becky Lynch's merchandise, but I can damn sure look at TV, which is probably gonna pay 100 times more than a single superstar's merchandise, right? And I would definitely believe that Tony Khan paying upwards to probably 7 figures, quite possibly, for Becky Lynch, is just one of the dumbest fucking things I've ever heard. I would need some strong evidence to suggest that Becky Lynch is doing Stone Cold Steve Austin numbers for me to believe that she deserves to get anything close or even resembling a 7-figure contract. You are out of your ever-loving fucking mind, dude. Just build up the stars that you currently have at the moment. The fact that you're spending so much fucking money on these talents who are not proven commodities, the most over thing in AEW currently at the moment, you could have made an argument that it was CM Punk when he was there. Honestly, that's one of the rare instances where you can actually look at today's professional wrestling and see a superstar is more over than the brand that they're currently on. But now that Punk isn't around, nah, man, the most over thing in AEW is the AEW banner. Not that that's saying much, but at least within the context of the sphere of professional wrestling, the most over thing is AEW. And if Becky Lynch goes to AEW, the most over thing still in AEW will be AEW. You guys are out of your mind. I'm looking at the most recent crowd reactions when talking about Becky Lynch. I don't know what the fuck she brings to the table. She ain't gonna boost your ratings up. She'll probably do it for the first week or two because of the initial shock of her joining AEW. But outside of that, you are out of your mind that there's going to be some long-term effects in regards to what Becky Lynch is going to do for the company. And taking into account talent, I'm not here to say Becky Lynch is a horrible talent, but at the same time, you guys are match marks, right? You guys love the moves and shit like that. And what way what evidence suggests that Becky Lynch is going to give you a good match? Like, maybe I'm the one sitting out here trying to figure out what the fuck is going on outside of the AEW bubble, outside of the WWE bubble. But you should be probably focusing on the talent that you currently have at the fucking moment and not throwing around money, because apparently the biggest draw in AEW is just the pot from another WWE superstar, and all you do is take away more TV time from your more established stars. It just makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, now you're even worse than WCW when it comes to taking... I mean, I could have sworn, I could be wrong, maybe I'm misquoting, but I could have sworn I heard them say that they weren't gonna hoard as much talent as they currently are going after WWE talent, right? I could have sworn I heard something along the lines of that. Again, don't quote me on that. But let's just hypothetically say that it happens to be true, and that's a legitimate quote, that they weren't gonna go over or go after WWE talent in the manner of how they're going after it. I'll just assume that that's an actual quote that was said. You're worse now than fucking probably TNA and fucking WCW combined. Honestly, you're worse than them combined, and I can tell you right now, you know, one of their top priority picks in AEW or in WCW trumps all your talent combined currently at the moment that are in AEW from WWE or WWE. Why'd I say it like that? You're fucking lunatics, and you're out of your ever-loving goddamn mind. There is no way I even pay fucking $2 million. Maybe she'd be lucky if I give her $1 million. Whether I'm WWE or whether I'm AEW, you'd be fucking crazy to believe that I would give Becky Lynch $1 million to fucking join me in my company. You guys are out of your fucking minds, bro. You're absolute lunatics. You're goddamn mad lasses is what you are. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Again, I don't get it. I don't see it. Maybe there are some numbers that I just don't know are existing, and maybe that proves to the claim that Becky Lynch deserves her contract, apparently. I'm not seeing any evidence of that whatsoever, but hey, do you? It's your money in the end of the day, but it ain't gonna make me any stronger of an AEW fan. Or hell, even if she stays with WWE, it ain't gonna make me any stronger of a WWE fan, whether or not she stays or whether or not she goes. And I guarantee you, the only people who care about this in terms of knowing where she's going to go are legitimate Becky Lynch fans. Not wrestling fans outside of the curiosity of knowing that she's going to AEW, but Becky Lynch fans in particular. But that's just my own personal opinion. Let me get the fuck up out of here. I'll be back later on tonight for the NXT review, or if any other news pops up in professional wrestling. As always, my name is Devontae, and I'll be catching you guys later. Deuces. P. Eyes.